mummy, the living dead, bringing terror and death across 4,000 years.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Spruverse, my scale model universe. People of Earth, welcome to my Halloween build 2022. Now, not something that was planned, I assure you, because in previous years, I don't sit around going, Halloween, let's build something for Halloween. It's just not how it happens. But this year, I happen to be finishing a model in time to be able to do something not too huge before we dive into the massive, massive build that's going to take the rest of the year and into next year. But here it is. Look, it's the old Horizon vinyl kit. 1991. This was out and about, and they were also making dinosaurs for Jurassic Park. They were making a whole bunch of stuff in vinyl, and they were doing a really nice job, I thought, because I thought these sculpts were pretty cool. Check this out. Look at that. That's not bad. And then the texturing on all of this is really, really fun. Look at the torso. Great texture. So we're going to be able to do an awful lot with it, and then even the dangling parts of the of his bandages, I think they're pretty good. I think they're really good. And the hands, look at that. That's better. Pretty cool, right? Vinyl's a bit wacky. I don't know. We're going to wash this, make sure we get any release agent on it. These kits were notorious for having a release agent on them. So if you've got one of these sitting around and I've motivated you to pull it out of the stash and build it, get some warm soapy water on it, let it dry thoroughly. Make sure there's absolutely no moisture on the inside. You can even use, a dust off or a very warm blow dryer, and get it nice and dry. And that's what I'm going to do because I've got to cut all this vinyl off. And the easiest way to do that is just to soften it, and I'll soften it with a hair dryer, and then we'll go to town on these parts. They'll come off super, super, super fast. But these bandages, these little bandages, I think they were all designed to kind of make sure you had a little bit to build. But it's going to go together pretty quickly. And I think that, I may augment with a little bit of bandage of my own, just to give it a little more texture and fun. But other than that, I think it's going to come together really well. I don't think we'll have any issues. It'll go together with CA glue. Here are the instructions. Now, I got this in Japan, and it was sort of yellowing at the time that I arrived. That it claimed to be brand new out of the box. No. No, they saran wrapped the box themselves. It was dog-eared and chewed up. The parts were in a bag, but not the original bag. I'm not knocking anything because it's all here and it looks fine. There's nothing missing. It's just the nature of the beast here. So. God, that's annoying when that phone rings. I apologize. I'm going to turn it off. Spam calls. Don't you hate spam? They're getting worse again. Anyway, I digress. 91. And, basic instructions here. So we can see where all the parts go. And lots of fun. And I've got a little bit of I think I've got a little bit of a diorama that I can put this in, but what I loved about this was on the back I noticed that the original mummy, 1932, The very first one was Boris Karloff. And then The Mummy's Hand came out in 1940, apparently, and Tom Tyler played the mummy. Tom obviously was, I don't know, a day player that they put in makeup and never saw him, so didn't care. I don't know. And then, curiously, Lon Chaney, the great Lon Chaney, in 1942, he did The Mummy's Tomb, and then in 43, he did The Mummy's Ghost. And so they give you that information, and you know, this was obviously licensed from Universal. Horizon used to be here in LA. They're gone now, but these kits, you can still find them. They offered Wolfman, The Creature from the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein, and The Mummy. They didn't do Dracula for some curious reason. Possibly because they didn't really have a solid license on Dracula. I don't know. But what caught my eye about this kit was I remember years ago seeing it at my local hobby store finished in the case. You know how in your local hobby store, your local artisans proudly display some of their kits, or the owners or perhaps even some of the staff build and put them in cases. I happened to see this, and it was beautifully done, and I thought, yeah, you know what? I'd like that in my stash. But I never got it until last year. I saw it on eBay, pretty good price, at a time when you could actually get things from Japan. I tell a lie, it was actually before COVID. But anyway, bought it, and it came in a couple of days. You know, now it could come in a couple of years, thanks to U.S. Postal Service. But hey, I digress. So yeah, we're going to be putting this together with CA glue, and I don't think there's anything else here. There is some interesting information actually about building vinyl in vinyl, because it was a big fad for 5 minutes and not so much anymore. But there was a model making professional group called the Gardens of Allah. Now, they were an active model makers group that had their work in films for years, apparently. And so they got together with the Gardens of Allah, and they helped them put all this together. And what I love about it is their painting techniques on the back the back of this, you know, are all in a faded sort of sepia / black and white. So any of the shading or color techniques that they're showing you, forget it, because you have no clue what they're actually showing you. There are a couple of good panels in terms of in terms of how you sort of use putty, but you know, today we'll probably use epoxy sculpt. The one thing about vinyl, if you didn't know this, is you want to be really careful with your primers, you know, because some of the primers, even like the Dupelos that we use, the primer fillers, don't love vinyl. They'll start eating it. They'll start eating it if that layer is too thick. So you got to do a real light dust of it. I'll probably use like a Mr. Surfacer and just sort of dust it on. You could also use adhesion promoter before you paint too. You just want to get something down on here for this paint to bite to. Although this definitely is going to need to be cleaned with, like I said, with warm water and some like light detergent, like a light Dove or something like that. You want to get all the release agent off of this, because vinyl is notorious for really having release agent on it. And this is an old kit, so but interesting. Even as we're out here in the warm sort of studio. Now that it's out from its box, I'm feeling the vinyl sort of becoming quite soft. So 2 seconds with your heat gun or a hairdryer, and these are going to be ready to trim. And there's lots to trim here. There's all of this that has to come off the bandages here, but curiously you can see where the vinyl mold has poured. Isn't that fun? You know, I'm always interested in stuff like that. You can see that. But great details on this thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash it, clean it all up, get all the vinyl on here, get it assembled, and this is just going to be one big paint party. that's what this is. But I think it's going to be fun. It's fun. I'm looking forward to having fun with this because I love to age things and I love to make things look creepy and weird. And you can definitely make things look creepy and weird with this kit. So away we go. The Mummy in 1/6 scale. This is from Horizon Models. Here we go. So I'm laughing because, you know, I don't know what it is, but me and bases have a really difficult time sort of hooking up and becoming something. And then when they do, I just go down a rabbit hole and I get a little lost. And I may have done that now, but I think it's going to be worth it. Let me show you what I'm doing here. So he needs a base. I've got this little sort of, I think it's about a foot square. Just a piece, just a wooden frame I picked up from like our local hobby store. Not hobby store, but you know, Michael's, like a big art store. I've got some MIG, AK Interactive foam that I've made these little blocks with, because they're going to form some of the ruins of the of my diorama. And then I've got these wonderful pieces of cast sort of resin. I picked this up years ago from a hobby store that sadly in LA is no longer with us, Kitcraft. I used to love that store. It was incredible. It had been around since like 51, 52 and finally closed its doors. But anyway, I picked this up, I would have to say, at least 15 years ago. It's been sitting on my shelf. So it consisted of a bunch of rubble of these pieces, these wonderful pieces. I'll get you even closer. And they're obviously you know, Greek or Roman columns, and you get a bunch of these parts. Now I'm going to have to do a little bit of sanding, but that's okay. This is really super cool. And I think it was actually for sort of a military kind of, you know, diorama that I think I was going to do but didn't do. But anyway, you've got all these, you've got columns, you've got broken piece of column, a couple of broken pieces of column, and then you've got these colonnade tops, which most likely will sort of, you know, are supposed to look like that, or supposed to look like that. Now, well, no good if you can't see it, right? It's supposed to look like that. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of sanding, obviously. So not looking forward to that, because I don't know what's going to happen with this. It's so old it could shatter, but we'll find out. I'll put it on the wheel and we'll see what happens. Anyway, I've got a bunch of these little pieces, lots of rubble. So anyway, you get the idea. I've got rubble here, right? And so I've got lots to play with here to really give this a quite a dramatic base. So, and then I've got this foam, and the reason why I have this foam is because I'm going to call him Boris here, because I like Boris Karloff, and I think this is Boris. Anyway, I've got him all together, as you can see. He's good looking. He really is. He's quite a fun piece. Now I'm going to need to get some pins in his feet so we can sit him down, and also it'll make it a little easier for me, I think, when I'm sort of working on him. I've got, as you can see here, I've got from the front, he's looking he's looking quite good from the front. Turn him over, and you see we've got this big gappage right here, and I've got nothing. There was no part of this sculpt to sort of help you with. I do have. So I've got some places, but I mean, I think you'll agree. By the time we've got this painted and dry brushed and washed, he's going to look really amazing. I mean, I'm really excited about getting down to the details, because there's not a lot to clean up, and it should go together. It should be okay once I get some sculpt in here. Now, I'm going to put some pins in his feet, as I said. I've got this foam, just foam board, really. And the reason why I've got that is because if I sit him down just straight down like this, he's kind of just looking down and away from you. Now, he looks pretty good on that side, and you could argue, well, that kind of works. On the other hand, if I take this piece of foam board and I put it under his foot like that, I get he raises up quite a bit. You can see he's sort of out of camera there. Can't get him into camera for you. Yeah, he's out of camera here and here. Oh, there he is. Here he is. Say hello. Hello. And we can sort of. He's pretty cool, isn't he? I mean, he really is. He's quite dramatic, and he's creepy. So we'll get this block looking. We'll get this piece here looking like a piece of fallen rubble. We'll hide it with. You'll get the idea here in just a second. We can start hiding it with things, right? Like this, whatever. But we'll have a lot of fun with it. And then, even if you laid a few columns down like this and like that, I mean, right away, you start to see that he's quite dramatic. So there's lots to play with, and then I've got these big pieces that I can have sort of tumbling around here, like he's walking through the rubble of a pyramid. That's what he's doing. And by the time we get all of this coated with some plaster and get it nailed down and painted and washed and everything, I think it's going to look pretty good. So I have a base here. Guess what? Not a single LED in sight. Oh yeah, that makes me excited. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to epoxy in some pins here under his feet, so that he's got something pretty sturdy for him to sort of live on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get out some epoxy sculpt, and I'm going to work on some things. I've got this. I'll show you right here. I've got this seam I have to blend in. I've got the seam on the back that I have to blend in, because his torso doesn't quite fit. But he's level here, and he was sort of level in the front. This arm really is nifty and does a really nice job of hiding this sort of the belly seam. And then I've got just a little bit of stuff to do there. Now there are two additional pieces that they give you. They give you this piece, which is supposed to drop over the arm, drop over this arm like this, somehow, as if it's sort of just hanging on. I don't know. It's kind of wacky. There's this piece, and then you've got this piece. Boy, I am not helping you at all here. See this? I apologize. Yeah, that's better. So this piece is supposed to hang over his shoulder. Now, what I think I'm going to do is I'll definitely get some epoxy sculpt on those. But what I've also got here is I've got some of this bandage. This bandage, which I can paint, and we can also stain it with some tea. And I think if you look at this, I just cut a little test strip here. It's perfect. And if we get a little PVA glue on that and some stainage, I think it's gonna make a difference. And in fact, if you sort of come around here, let me try this. There we go. If you look at this, if I take these pieces and I add them to the bottom of this. Obviously, I've got to rag these up. These are not even close to looking good, but they'll add sort of a depth and a softness to this that I think will work really well. So there's a little bit to do now, but it shouldn't be that difficult because fortunately, all I've got to do is take the epoxy sculpt and just sort of start to blend this in. And because of the nature of this, I think we're going to do quite well. And if we wanted to, we could take some of our fabric and we can start to add that to the whole process here. And as you can see, this thing will start to disappear. So I'm pretty excited about that. There's a couple of wonky parts here. Now, what I like about this, the positive side, is the raggedness of this. They've done a really nice job on these ends. But they didn't give us a piece for this bit right here. Now, it's behind him like this. So it's supposed to, I think it's supposed to be hollow, and that's fine. We'll get away with that. But that's a little clunky. But everything else looks pretty darn good, I have to say. I think they've done quite an amazing job with this. So I'm pretty happy with it. And I feel like this is really going to make a huge difference to the sort of the presentation of it. And then once we've sort of figured that out, I mean, and I'll obviously, I'm going to jag it up this foam, so because it jags up quite well, so we can do this to it. We can start to add our own kind of chipping here, and it really you'll see you can start to play with this, and you can do some fun things with it. And then by the time we get that all sort of figured out, and we get some plaster in here, this will really start to pop, and we can start putting some washes on this and stuff like that. So lots to do here, but I really like working with this foam. You don't have to use the AK Interactive foam, but I found it on eBay and got a really good deal on it. So I like to use it primarily because, yes, you can go to your big box store and get big pieces of it. You can see that looks like fun, right? You can get big sheets, but where am I going to store it? I don't want to do that. So yeah, I end up paying $15 or $20 more than I should, but that is okay. That is okay. That's interesting. So anyway, we have a base, we have a model, and we have a plan. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand all this down and clean up these pieces from this old piece. By the way, I think you can also find fish tank pieces that look like this as well at your local aquarium store. So, you know, you can have a lot of fun with that. I've got my rock faces that have to be cleaned up a little bit before we start to get goopy and position those. And then we've got Boris himself that needs obviously a little bit of epoxy sculpt. So in order of importance, let's get Boris cleaned up and ready to go, because once he's ready to go, we can put a little coat of primer on him. Now, I'm going to use a little adhesion promoter, and I'm going to use a very light Mr. Surfacer on here. Remember, you don't want to go crazy on vinyl with things that are, you want to try and stay with acrylic paint is what I'm trying to say. Otherwise, you do risk this being eaten up or falling apart. It comes together and it feels quite, it's quite sturdy. But if I only put it together with CA glue, if I really worked at it, I could snap these pieces right off. But yeah, to my eye, this is really fun. Now, a little bit of a disadvantage here of, trying to paint this face nicely, because I've, I made the decision to stick his arm on, right? So, but I still feel like I've got access to the face. So I should be okay. I should be okay. It might make it a little awkward, but I think we'll be okay. So there we go. Epoxy sculpt on Boris. Cleanup of my parts for my little base / diorama. I'll get some 5-minute epoxy. I'll get some pins in him so he can stand up when we're working on him. And then we'll get into paint. So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll start to get into the various different shades and colors. I mean, this is an airbrush's dream, really. So we'll see. It's good for me, too, to hone my skills, because when you look at some of the incredible work that, say, the great Lou Del Maso does over at Aztec Dummy, he just finished Blondie. And this is 2022. We're in October. So when I talk about he just finished Blondie, that's this year. So in case you're finding this 5 years from now and you wonder what is going on, that's what's going on. So anyway, we continue here. Getting into it now. So had a few hours of work to get the kit cleaned up and put together and then puttied up. I used epoxy putty, and I used something I haven't used before, actually. It might even be worth sharing it with you. I'm sure a lot of you know about this particular brand. If you don't, it's worth checking out. I use Milliput, I use Magisculpt, I use Epoxy Sculpt. I've got a bunch of them. And the thing about this one that I really do like is that you have about 2 hours to work with it. But the one thing that I found really curious about it is it really gets quite soft. So I found it a lot more enjoyable to work with in small places. It might be worth checking out for you guys who are doing using it for planes and that sort of a thing, just in terms of the quality of what it is. It works with water just as Milliput does and just as Epoxy Sculpt does. But again, I found the consistency to be just a lot softer, and just a lot more friendly to work with. Anyway, you might want to check it out. I'll point out some parts on here where we've used it. It has a gray primer on it, Mr. Surfacer 1200. I kept it I just dusted it and just made sure I got some good coverage on it. And I have these sort of odd pieces here that go with this kit. One of them, I think, sort of wraps somewhere, something like, I don't know. It's bizarre. I think. Hang on. Let me get back out here. I think it wraps around the front here somehow, like this. But for the life of me, I can't figure it out, and I've tried. If you sort of Anyway, I've played with this 10 ways from Sunday. This piece, curiously, has a flat. It has a flat edge to it, and I think what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to somehow attach it to the back here somewhere. Of course, you can't see that, can you? Goofy me. But I'm not sure. I can't seem to figure it out, to be honest with you. I may just trim these down. I've looked. Oh, I see. There it is. It's right there. What an idiot I am. It's literally in the back, as if it's sort of popping out. There's a groove that it sits in, and you can see the groove now. It's quite clear now that that's where it's supposed to go. So it's interesting because it has this kind of. Now I don't know if that's sort of to give it movement. I suppose it is to create some kind of dramatic movement. Now, what I've done here in the back is this seam. I used the putty, but then I added some bandage. This very soft sort of expandy bandage, and I put it over it, and it's covered that quite well, and it gives it a nice realistic feel. This right here. This is the epoxy sculpt coming down in here. This is epoxy sculpt right here on the back of the leg. And this is epoxy sculpt on the foot in the back here. Really nice results. And on the arm, there's just one small piece well, you can't see it there. You can see it there. One small piece right there. Really quite effective, I think. Decided, well, first of all, what I did was I put some pins on the feet, as you can see. Put one here and one there, and correspondingly, I put some pipes, some brass tubing, I should say, on the floor here. And so that has allowed me to create a good stable base for it. And what's been good about that is it's going to make it a lot easier for me to work with this in terms of painting it. So I'm going to be able to really get in there with my brush. The base is going to get it's going to get a textured surface that I'll make look like sand, and then I've got some other pieces that we talked about earlier that I'm gonna place sort of on the piece. I haven't quite figured out how yet. Something like that. And then I've got these lovely stands here that I can put one in the front here and perhaps even one in the back, so that you have this sort of triangle. And then I've got these wonderful columns that are not exactly to scale, but I think they're fine. And what they'll do is they won't dwarf the piece, but they'll give it some drama. I'm going to use some of the foam, the AK Interactive foam, and I'm going to create some bricks. And I've got a pair of hands here that came from something. I can't remember what. I think it might have been my 2001 suit. And so I'm thinking that here, I'll show you what I'm thinking, because it's a little wacky, but hey, it's Halloween, right? So why not? So what I'm thinking is it might be fun to have these hands under, just sort of under, or just one hand, I don't know, maybe just one hand under a rock like this. Do you see? Something like that. And you know, we'll sort of wonder who that is under the rock, and maybe some blood coming away from it, as if he ripped the hand off of somebody. I think we might do that. So that's a lot of fun. And then, of course, we've got some paint decisions to make. What does a mummy that's 3,000 years old, who's come to life through some curse, wandering around the pyramids of Egypt, look like? It's a fair question. If you look at the movies, obviously it's you know, it's hard to tell really. It's a grayscale. It may even been, you know, there may have been some greens and stuff like that. So I have let me push that back for a second here and show you some of the paints I'm thinking about here. Oh, that's nice. You can hold them in your hand, Mr. Mummy. There. This is a light green. And what I'm thinking is, well, let me introduce you to all the potential color. Here's, it's called interior green. And this is obviously for planes. And then I've got a light brown that I'm looking at. I've got an off-white, sort of a, it's sort of an antique white for dry brushing. And then I've pulled a couple of these washes, these game washes, the sepia, and I've also pulled for the face, my flesh wash. And I've got a couple of new things I'm trying out. This is from the Army Painter. These are just washes. This is a flesh wash. And this is a dark tone, which could be nice just to finish with. And never tried these before, but look, they look like a lot of fun. So So I feel like I've got a handle on how this is all going to come together. I was going to put his front foot on a bit of a step here, but it turns out that that would have made it a little trickier for me to get it sort of in the position that I really wanted it to. And I put it square on like this for shelf space. I had it on an angle, but it's easier for me to do it this way, and it will slip into my shelf, which is pushing towards capacity. I might take a couple of photos of my shelf actually on Instagram and get your opinion on what I do next, because I'm running out of real estate and that's not good. So I might have to go into serious negotiations with Mrs. Sprubers about more real estate. Never easy. Never easy. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to get a base color on this, and I'll obviously do that with my airbrush. I think it'll probably be most likely the light brown, just to get some color on this and see what we've got, and then we can play with that. So let me do that. Let me get some color on him, and here, I'll turn him towards you. Yeah, let me get some color on him, and we'll take a look and see what we think. Okay. Okay, I just put the airbrush away because Vincent van Gogh never had one. I don't know, delusions of grandeur over here at Sprueverse, but that's okay. We're dry brushing. So what I've got here is he's had now the light is showing, making him look greener than he is in person. I promise you, he's not that green. And the light is sort of doing that. But, you know, the rule of thumb here for me is whatever color his bandages end up, his hair is going to end up being kind of the same, I think. So what I'm doing now is I'm dry brushing him. And I've got these wonderful dry brushes, and I'm sort of going to town on him. Working on his back foot here, because that's really making a difference, and I'm gonna sort of dry brush him everywhere, and that's really sort of popping the bandages. It's pushing the dark tones back, and it's kind of giving me a really nice look. So that's what we're doing here. You can see on his back here, as I start to dry brush, it sort of really starts to push those bandages back and give me those lovely dark spots, and then we'll go in with a darker wash once we get this blended the way we wanted it. It might require a couple of other kind of dry brush colors here, just to kind of help pop this a little bit more, but it's definitely working, and you can start to see, you can really start to see him coming to life. And so that's what I'm doing now. I'm just going to add all of this first layer of dry brushing just to see where we are. I have to say, looking at this in person, if you're going to get this kit, you're going to be very pleased with the textures of it. So if you like to age things the way I do, you're going to be really happy with this kit, because it's all there for you in terms of, you know, being able to kind of play with it. So I'm super happy with that. So I'm gonna show you here a little close up here of what that's starting to look like. We're really starting to, you see these bandages are really starting to pop. So I'm going to continue to continue layering, I should say, these colors until I get something that's blended and pretty cool. I started out with the light brown. I've done a couple of passes of the various different greens, and then another dusting of that. I also went over it with a couple of grays, a couple of dark grays for shadows. And in person, I'm really liking how dirty the bandages are starting to look, and how it's really pulling all of that bandage out. So I've just got to sort of go through it now and make sure everything gets blended properly, until we get sort of a finish that we really like. But yeah, overall, I'm really enjoying this. And then, of course, you know, once we get onto the face, we're gonna be really having fun. So anyway, I wanted to sort of show you the dry brushing that I'm doing. I'm going to continue to dry brush, and I'm using sort of an off-white. It's got a little bit of, I think it's got a little bit of brown in it, just a hint, you know, just to give it that sort of aged, tired look. But the more layers of color that I'm putting on this, the dirtier and the more pronounced those bandages are coming. And so, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. So let me continue on here. Okay. So we've been playing with color. We've been doing some dry brushing. And now I'm going to do some washes. I'm working on getting some dark into the crevices here of the foot, just to see how I do. So this is the wash I was telling you about, and it seems to be quite friendly. So you're basically, you know, it's water based, and it's sticking in those cracks quite nicely. And then I'm not super, here, let me get you closer. I'm not super worried about, sorry, I'm just trying to get you in the light. There you go. I'm not super worried about if I get too dark, because if I get too dark, I can pull that back no problem. But I really am impressed with how this is doing. Now you can make washes with anything, guys. You all know that. But that's not the object of the exercise here. What you know, when I show you something like this, it's not because I'm endorsing a product, and it's not because I'm saying to you, this is the way you have to do it. No, 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 no. I'm just sharing with you the different kinds of things that I find on the market, in case you're interested in checking them out. Because there are plenty of, we're going to have a lot of fun at the end with some oils. We're going to bring some oils in and play with those after we've sealed this. I'm just trying to get some shadow into the crevices, and then we'll play from there. If you've watched any of my earlier videos, you'll know I constantly talk about the channel as being a bit of a sort of test kitchen. And the reason why is because I sort of like the notion of being able to share with you things that I find. And, you know, oftentimes in my on my Instagram account or in comments, I get some of my awesome subscribers sharing their thoughts about what I'm using, and telling me about better products to use. And that's what it's about. It's about community. And I cannot stress that enough. So if you're coming here because you think I'm endorsing something, I'm not. I'm just sharing with you what I find, and I think it's fun to do that, because yes, there's 1,000 ways to do washes, and cheaply too. But anyway, I think this is going on really well, and to the eye, it's doing its job. So I'm going to put a wash on this whole, on all of the body. You don't need to see me do that. We'll show you. I'll show you what that looks like after we've done that, and then we'll talk about next steps. Okay, I'm pretty happy with where we are now with the body. He has obviously he's sort of still in progress, but I got a nice wash on him, and then I did another dry brush with the off-white, and that's really popped his bandages. So we're really getting a nice effect off of that. Haven't touched the head. The hair's still a work in progress. Skin color still a work in progress, and the face I haven't even started on. That's going to be the exciting part. But I'm really happy with where we are in terms of these bandages. Nice color separation, and he's looking pretty groovy. So yeah, that's a really good look on him. He's really coming to life. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's a lot. That was several hours of work. So this is for those of you who are keeping score. This is day 3 of the actual physical build, all done in one episode, I think. So I'm going to let all this dry tonight and just sort of calm down, and then we'll go at it tomorrow. I'm going to start just looking at areas where I can pick out perhaps a little of the greens, dry brush in just a little bit of the greens just for some shadowing and to play with it a little more. You know, this is one of those things where you just don't know when to stop. At least I don't. But I think I've got a really good solid foundation on him now, and that's a great place for us to stop. I think for the moment, not for the episode, but for me. I just wanted to. What I'm trying to do is show you progress without it becoming, you know, bogged down on me in various different elements. But I have to say, you know, it's been a real palate cleanser to be able to do something like this. You know, figures are a lot of fun, and even though they aren't a lot of parts, they do take a lot of time and energy to get them painted up nicely and have them present really well. So anyway, there we are. Let's plow on. We're gonna now work on. I'm gonna start working on the face and the hair, and we'll show you that in mid progress. We'll see where we are with that, and perhaps we'll even start on the base too, because I've got to get that sand down. All right, so we plow on. Okay, it's the next day. I let everything dry, and I'm looking at it, and I could not be happier. Wow. Big thumbs up on these washes. Big thumbs up. This is what I used in case this quick shade from the Army Painter. They have a wash series. They've got all kinds of stuff, and primarily right now, I just want you to see what it's done. I mean, I just it's really extraordinary. Now, what I did was I did some experimenting, but now I understand how it works. It's a little easier for me, and that's true of everything, right? You got to use the product to understand how it works. So it goes on darker than you think. You can control it with a Q-tip with a little water. But there are places where you want it to be a little darker, then you don't touch it. And you get this wonderful aging and staining. So big fan of this product, especially over acrylic paint. It really is happy. And because it works with water, you're not, you know, you're not really, you're not at risk of losing your surface. And I hadn't sealed this yet. So good product. Big thumbs up from me. Just looking at it with the eye, boy, am I happy. So we're moving on. So quickly, because I know we're getting long in the tooth, but this is our Halloween build, man. So I'm just tickled pink. So here's what we've done. He now has a base coat on his face. Don't panic. That's just a base coat. And he's got a base coat on his head. And I've used the same color on his hand. Okay, so that's just our base coat, and we'll go to town from here. One of our eyes, this eye here, which is his right, our, well, would it be our left? Yeah, it's our left, it's his right. It's a theater. If you've ever been in the theater like me, you know, it's stage right and stage left, not audience right and audience left. Anyway, so he's now, we're going to now go to town on his face and his hair. We're going to do some dry brushing, and we're going to pick out some of the colors, get his eyes in, and he's gonna look really good. Now I am going to put a little bit of blood coming out of this eye, and a little bit of blood on his on him, as if he's just, you know, killed somebody. I'm not entirely sure who he's killed, but he's killed somebody. So we are working on that. I did want to show you really quickly where we are with the base, because that's coming along too. So I'm really happy with this. I've been using some of the AK, AK Dark Earth, and I just love it. You know, it's, you know, now just it's an expensive product, so I don't want anybody rolling their eyes or going, oh, better way to do it, cheaper way to do it. Yes, there is. Absolutely. You can use some PVA glue, some sand from the beach, and hit it with an airbrush, and you'll get the same effect-ish. However, I have this in a jar at my disposal in this pigment, and I only put this on about an hour ago, and it is almost dry and ready to paint. And without a lot of fuss and mess. So that's just, it's just a product that I like. There are many ways to do dioramas that are more cost efficient. I'm just sharing with you a product that I use. This obviously is all going to get light sands, because this is not how it should be, but I've put what I've done is I've put my two corners in, and then I'm going to use my plinth corners here on the corners like this. I think actually I may even put them there. No, maybe I may not. I may put them somewhere else. I don't know. But I've got these wonderful colonnades that I'm going to use. Now these were for I got this. Can you believe this? I got this 15 years ago and kept it in my stash from a local hobby shop that unfortunately is no longer here. But it came as a part of a diorama for World War II. So it's not exactly in scale, but you'll get the idea. I've also noticed that my local aquarium shop or pet shop, you can get same kind of thing. So anyway, plenty of places for that to go. Just want to get this in here for a second. Stand him up. And boy, he really comes towards you, and I'm really happy with him. There he is. Let's put him there for a second. Anyway, very happy with him. He's quite dramatic, and he's gonna look pretty awesome. So base is really getting there. So I'm feeling like we are getting dangerously close to the end here. I'm going to continue to work on the face and his hair and his skin, get that all finished, and do a little bit of work on the base. And I think we'll do a final reveal of our Halloween build. Really cool. I have to say something else too, just quickly. I should probably say this in the summation, but I wanted to say it now, is if you've got young modelers at home and you want to get them into something and they like creatures or horror movies or these superhero movies, get this kit. Build it with them. It's not that difficult, and who cares how it turns out, right? It's just a bunch of paint and fun. But I think because the sculpt is so cool, and because it's got all these nooks and crannies, I think they'll genuinely get excited about it, because it's not that complicated and you can see results pretty quickly. Anyway, Just my my 5 cents. Anyway, I'm gonna take this to the finish line now, and we will do a final reveal of our Halloween build. Here we go. Boris Karloff, from my house to your house. He's finished, and what a lot of fun. I kept the diorama quite simple. I didn't really want to go overboard with it. I do love my hand that's crushed and bleeding by the side of him. I think that's kind of fun. Right here. He's walking through, obviously, some kind of derelict moment in in I suppose what you would call a, he's walking through a crypt, or he's walking through a pyramid somewhere, and he's just, come into focus, there we go, and he's just killed or crushed this poor person, and now he is on his way to some other ghastly deed. Great fun. So this is the Horizon kit, no longer in production, but you can find them. And as I said a little earlier, it's a great kit. I think it's a great kit to get your younger modelers involved with. Relatively easy to put together. You can supervise, and you can have a lot of fun getting this painted, because there's no rules really. I just wanted to do something for Halloween, and creatures and monsters are a lot of fun. I don't get enough. I don't do enough of them, and I probably should. So there it is, and I'm really glad I've got this to put on the shelf. It's going to be a lot of fun. It'll definitely be a talking point for sure, and I know that there's a lot of you out there who probably have this in your stash, and if you don't, you should. I'm glad I did, and I'm glad now that it's built and it can go on a shelf where it belongs. Just lots of fun, and no rules. Plenty of opportunity for washes, plenty of opportunity for dry brushing, aging, playing with all kinds of different things. It comes together really well. And there you have it. From me to you, as always, I wish all of you, please be well, be safe. Happy Halloween to everybody. Build something, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.